Hey everyone, welcome to another SMP Relatable. The other day I was referred a client from a colleague who's a mortgage broker, and the client was quite upset because the amount of money the lenders were going to give him wasn't enough to purchase the property that he wanted. Why? Because his discretionary expenditure was more than what the banks would allow to give him the money that he needed. What we need to understand is that after the Royal Commission, the banks are really starting to be scrupulous over what money that we're spending. Every time we go for a loan, they're going to ask us what our living expenses are and also some of what our discretionary expenditure as well. But what we were telling the banks in the past versus what we were actually spending, the banks weren't necessarily picking up on. But now they are actually going through your statements to see exactly what you're spending. Now, in this particular circumstance, single guy on 82 grand a year, each week he liked to spend a little bit of money going down to the pub and having a punt, doing a little bit of gambling. But also what he was doing is he was overspending on Uber Eats. So he wasn't cooking at home, but he was having food delivered. Now the bank already takes into consideration that they believe he's buying food at Woolies to cook at home. But when you're spending additional money on ordering food in, that's going to be a discretionary expense, and it had a massive impact. Just to give you an example, if he was spending $50 a week, maybe on a combination of these two things, it was going to bring down his borrowing capacity by about $32,000. If he was spending $200 a week, which he was, through a combination of just these two things, it was going to bring down his borrowing capacity by $127,000. And that was the difference between him being able to buy the house that he wanted and also having to make a sacrifice to go to a smaller property. So I'm always preaching, we need to understand our budget. We need to stick to that budget as well, not just because we want to save money and have surplus, but because it can have a massive impact on us going for loans and maybe achieving the home that we want. I hope this has been insightful. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, anything worth having in this life, we want to save, make, and protect.